Tomo Drug Testing is pleased to introduce virtual oral fluid collections, a simple, non-invasive testing solution that offers client and donor-centered convenience. Collection kits are shipped directly to the client or donor's location. Online scheduling allows for convenient and efficient testing times while reducing on-site trip fees. Once the 20-minute online appointment is set, the donor will simply log on to the secure video chat portal and follow the instructions provided by the certified Tomo collector. When the collection is complete, the donor will package up the specimen and use the pre-printed label to send it to the lab via the postal service. Oral fluid collections are non-invasive, fully observed, and available for both lab-based and instant collections. Virtual oral fluid collections are now available for non-DOT testing and are great as an alternative to lengthy clinic wait times for clients in rural areas and remote workers. Tomo offers a variety of testing panels to ensure your program meets your organization's drug testing policy requirements. Reduce result times, eliminate testing delays, and streamline your employment drug testing by utilizing virtual oral fluid collections.
Welcome everyone, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Angela Garrison and I'm the president here at Tomo Drug Testing. We're really excited to share the latest service that we will be offering our clients in virtual oral fluid collections. Telemedicine and healthcare has been a regular practice for more than 10 years, but with the COVID-19 pandemic, the drug testing industry began looking at ways to more safely and effectively continue testing employees, and virtual oral fluid testing emerged. Tomo is very happy to be on the forefront of this new collection method and be introducing that to you today. So let's talk a little bit about the advantages of oral fluid testing in general. Many of you probably use urine testing. Some maybe already do oral fluid testing, so you're just interested in how this is going to look in the virtual space. But a little bit about oral fluid if you're not familiar. The detection window for oral fluid is different than urine. Oral fluid does detect more recent drug use, so oral fluid will detect 1 hour after use up to about 48 hours after use, while urine is 1 day to 7 days after use. Now, of course, just like urine, this all depends on how much was used, the frequency of use, and the type of drug. So that's just some general ranges. The collections are simple and they're all observed. Unlike a standard urine drug screen, either for DOT or non-mandated, where the donor goes into a restroom, closes the door, and is alone while they collect the sample, oral fluid testing, the donor remains in front of the collector at all times. This makes it very, very difficult to adulterate an oral fluid drug screen. This also means there's no need for restrooms during the collection, so it does make the collections a little simpler. Oral fluid testing is available in both rapid or instant screens and lab-based tests, and it can test for a wide variety of drugs. Result turnaround times are comparable to urine turnaround times for results. So a virtual oral screen is ideal for remote workers. So if you work with an organization that you have opted to stay remote after COVID, this is a great option to continue to test those workers that work remotely. If you're located in a rural area or you have multiple locations with employees in rural areas, this is a great option. And it's also a great alternative to going to clinics. So we recognize that sometimes clinics can be lengthier trips and can be more costly. So for a virtual oral fluid screen, there are a few supplies that the donor will need to have, and you will see in our demonstration later that we have all of this set up. So the supplies that will be needed, they will need a pen. They will need a computer, tablet, or a phone that can do video. They will need their driver's license or passport available. They'll need a flat surface, whether that's a desk or a table. And then they'll also need an object to prop up that device. If they're not using a tablet or a laptop, they would need a stand, or they can use books or any object to just prop up the phone, because we do have to have the phone or device positioned so we can see the hands and the surface of the table at all times. So how does the virtual oral testing work? The supplies will be shipped directly to either the donor's location or to the employer location. The donor or employer representative will schedule an appointment online using the online scheduling system. And then when it is time for that appointment, the donor will log in. And at that point, they'll meet the collector online and they will follow the collector's instructions for completing the collection and all the required paperwork. Once the collection is complete, it will be packaged up in the prepaid USPS bag, and then they simply have to drop that into the mailbox for pickup. So at this time, we're going to shift to our demonstration. A few pieces of information to know as we go into this demonstration. At this point where we have it set up is the donor has received her package in the mail. She has all of her supplies. She's read through the instructions. She has a PIN. She has her driver's license, and she will be meeting her collector, Caleb, to do the collection today. One other thing to note is that when we get to the actual collection piece, the collection does take about 5 minutes to complete. We are not going to wait the full 5 minutes. So at that point, you will see how the collection begins, and then they will just fast forward a little bit to what it's like when the collection is wrapping up. We will be taking questions throughout this demonstration and address all of them at the end. So at this time, Caleb, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Hi, Joanne. My name is Caleb. I work for Tomo Drug Testing. I'm going to be doing your virtual oral fluid collection today. If you wouldn't mind, just a couple things to keep in mind as we get started. The first part is I just need to make sure and verify with your ID that everything matches. So if you don't mind, just to grab your license there that you have and just put it up in front of the camera as close as you can get. All right. Perfect. Okay. Thank you so much. A couple other things I just want to mention. Have you had anything to eat or drink in the last 10 minutes?
No.
Okay, perfect. Another thing to address is just making sure that once we've started this collection, you cannot get up and go anywhere. You just got to remain visible with me and keep your hands visible, especially at all times, okay? So if you have any distractions, anything like that, now would be the time to take care of those. But other than that, we'll have you stay right here as soon as the collection piece has started, okay? Awesome. Okay, cool. All right, so let's kind of go through what's in your packet, and we'll get started with that first. So inside your packet, there should have been just some instructions about the Intercept device and some instructions specifically for you as our donor. So you can have those right there. We'll address those as we're going through the testing. The other thing that you should have is a packet, an unopened packet with our oral fluid device in it. So it's an Intercept device, so if you don't mind just to hold that up for me. Just want to make sure nothing's been tampered with there. Everything looks good. Okay, it's got everything that we need there. And then you should also have a custody and control form, which should look something like this, and it will have CRL listed in the top left-hand corner. Okay, perfect. So what we'll do is we're going to fill out part of this form, and then we will actually get the test started after that as well, okay? So if you don't mind, we'll pull out the CRL form here, and we will start documenting down some information. So as you're looking at this, where we'll start is in step 1 under letter A, where it says employer name and address. There's a little white section right there. I'm going to have you write your company name there, and that would be Tomo Drug Testing. And then underneath that, you will see where it says company name, and there's a long line. That's the identification for us at the lab. So if you don't mind, that's going to be a 4-digit number. If you can please write 1, 2, 3, 4. That's how they will identify this at the lab. And then letter B, everything is taken care of there. So if you wouldn't mind just going to letter C, this is the donor ID number. So what you will use here is your driver's license number in this instance. So if you can just copy that information down. And then while you're doing that, ma'am, underneath the donor ID number, there's a little section that says donor name, and it signifies first name, middle initial, last name. So we just want to make sure we write it in that order. Perfect. Underneath that, letter D is highlighted, and I will have you mark random because you were selected for a random. That is actually the third box over. You can mark that with just an X. And then underneath that is letter E, and this is the drug test to be performed. So this is the actual test that will get ran at the lab once it's received. Your company does W730, so I'll have you mark that with an X. Perfect. Underneath that is letter F. So underneath where it says Tomo Drug Testing, we need to indicate the physical address that this test takes place, which is where you are. So we're going to have you document down 2055 South Stewart, and that would be in Springfield, Missouri, 65804. And then looking to the right of that, there's the collector phone and fax number, but we have that pre-printed already, so you will not need to worry about that. Okay, so I'll have you do just keep your form right there, and then I'm going to have you open up your packet that was given to you that has the oral fluid device in it. So it'll have a paper wrapping. I'll have you do that. And inside that packet, there should be a little CRL shipping bag. You're going to have the oral fluid device, and there should be just some other instructions in there. And those instructions are actually covered in the other packet that you received that had the instructions on it. So we should be good to go there. Okay, what I'm going to have you do is the one that indicates intercept. I'm going to have you open up for me the little packet, just like this. It peels open like a Band-Aid. Perfect. Okay, and inside that there is going to be one of these, a little plastic wand piece, and then also a little device here with buffer solution in it, and that's what will actually get transported to the lab for testing. Joanne, on the back of the little buffer tube here, there should be a date indicated on there by month and year. And can you read that to me, please?
October 2023.
Awesome. Okay, perfect. Okay, just want to verify that nothing's been expired. So, okay, this part right here is going to be the next part of this. So what we're going to have you do is I'm going to have you peel it open, very similar, again, like a Band-Aid, and I'm going to have you grab the plastic wand there as soon as you get that peeled open. And then what I'll have you do is I'm going to have you put the sponge part. It will go into your mouth, and if you want to just rub it against your cheek, between your cheek and your teeth, and your lower gum area, I'll have you do that. And you just want to wait there till it gets, you can feel it kind of get wet. And then at that point, once it's done that, we are going to go ahead and wait 5 minutes for the collection. Okay. For demonstration purposes, we're going to expedite this 5 minutes, and we're going to pick up right here where we would actually remove it. So, Joanne, there's the little plastic tube here. I'm going to have you just kind of wiggle the top off. It should come right off once you've done that. All right, perfect. And then I'm going to have you take the plastic part, pull it out, and the sponge end is going to go into the transport tube. Perfect. And then you're going to snap off the blue top. And then have you put the lid back on there. And then you should be able just to snap it on, and you'll hear it snap. Perfect. Okay, so whenever you go back to your custody and control form, I'm going to have you go to step 2, because we've completed step 1 already. So step 2, underneath specimen collection, there's a box that says oral fluid single. And I'm going to have you just mark that one. And then underneath step 2, we will go on to step 3. And so step 3 at this point is how we're going to seal the specimen to make sure it doesn't get tampered with on its way to the lab. So at the very bottom of your custody and control form, you're going to see a label A, and I'm going to have you remove that from the form, so you'll just peel it off. And once you get that peeled off, Joanne, what we're going to do is there's a part of it that has, you can see the letter A. It's pretty big. That is actually what goes over the center of the transport tube. And then once you get that top on there, I'll just have you pull it down the sides. And then, yeah, you just press it against the tube as best as you can. And then just, if you don't mind, just kind of inspect it. We want to make sure that there's no tears or anything like that in the label. Perfect. Okay, once we've done that, there is, on one of the sides, there's 2 little parts that we have to fill out. So we would need to have you put your initials, because you are the donor in this collection. And then we're also going to have you put today's date, which is July 13th, 2022. Perfect. Now, if you don't mind, I'm going to have you hold up the vial. There is a specimen ID number that is underneath the barcode. I'm going to have you just put up to the camera because I want to verify what that ID number is. Perfect. All right, 207-464-4692. Perfect. All right, if you don't mind, you can go ahead and there is a CRL bag right here that came in with the container, and if you don't mind, there's front pocket here. It's actually got a little paper towel here. If you want to go ahead and put your specimen inside that front pocket. Great, and then you can just sit that down for me. That would be great. Okay, what we'll have you do next is we're going to go and fill out the remainder of this form. We're going to verify an ID number again, and then we'll get you wrapped up, okay? So if you don't mind, go ahead and go down to step 4. It should be highlighted there in pink. And this is going to be donor information, so this will be for you. There's a section for donor phone number. What you want to do here is put the easiest contact number for you in case the lab has any questions about your specimen. They will get a hold of you directly. Then also underneath your phone number, I'll have you write your date of birth. And then to the right, there's an X. And before you sign that, I just want to make sure you know what you're signing for here. It's that you certify that you provided the specimen, you did not adulterate it in any manner, we sealed everything up, and that everything on this form is true and correct, okay? So then I'll have you go ahead and sign where that X is, right there to the right. Okay, once you've completed step 4, we're going to go on to step 5, okay? So you served as the donor, you also served as the collector, so we're going to have you document all your information in step 5 as well. So there's a section right there where there's an X where you would sign, and then you'd also print your name below that, first name, middle initial, and last. And this just says everything was given to you, and everything is labeled and sealed as well. And then if you look to the right of where that signature and that printed name is, there is a section for time. So that would be just the time that it is currently. And then also the date again, which is July 13th, 2022. And then if you look to the right of that, Joanne, there is a section where it says specimen containers released to. And what you would want to do is go ahead and mark other. And then put USPS because we will actually ship this back to the lab through the Postal Service. Great. Okay, Joanne, at this point, we've got everything completed. So in order to move forward, what I want to do is I just want to double check the form, make sure everything's filled out appropriately. So if you don't mind, and I also want to verify that the specimen ID number matches what we've got on the tube as well. So if you don't mind, just go ahead and hold it up in front of the camera there and just push as far as close as you can. I just want to verify all the steps have been filled. And then we've got 206-464-4692, which was on the tube and is also on the form. So we're good to go there. We just want to make sure those match when it gets to the lab. Okay, what I'm going to have you do is just pull off the right edge of your CCF there, your custody control form. Just go ahead and pull all that off. Okay, and then what we're going to have to do is we got to send this form with the specimen to the lab. So that very top copy at the very bottom, it even says to the lab. I'm going to have you pull off the top copy of your custody and control form. Okay, and then what I'm going to have you do is I'm going to have you fold this a very particular way. It's just required by the lab. So I'm going to have you just take the bottom, fold it up, and just make sure you leave the barcode exposed. And then once you folded it one way, I'm going to have you just fold it one more time. And this is just so it's easier to put in the bag. And then once you've got that folded, Joanne, there are two openings. The one you already put the specimen inside, right? And then there's also a back copy. I'm going to have you put the form in that with the barcode facing out. So it'll actually be exposed here. The reason for this is so when it gets to the lab, they can scan it in immediately. Then there's the peel off here. I'm going to have you pull this off. And the adhesive, I'm going to have you pull down and cover those little railroad tracks that are there. This will prevent anyone from being able to reach into the specimen to potentially tamper with it. Perfect. And then you care to hold it up there, and we want to make sure we've got everything sealed. Can you flip it around for me too? Perfect. Okay, great. So what we've got here is we've got our specimen ready. So there also should have been a USPS little shipping bag that was in with your packet. Perfect. I'm going to have you take your CRL shipping bag, and I'm going to have you place it inside that bag. Can we just verify there's nothing in there first, please, though? Awesome. Perfect. Okay, yep, and then go ahead and just place that in there. And then once you've got that in there, Joanne, I'm going to have you go ahead and just seal up that USPS bag. Awesome. Perfect. Okay, so at this point, the collection is complete. Just a couple last minute notes for you. We will want to get that shipped out USPS ASAP. The reason for that is so we can get it the test processing. Once it gets to the lab, all of your results will then report out to your employer. Okay. Joanne, do you have any questions about anything from the collection procedure, anything that I can help address?
No, thank you.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much for your time, and we will take it from here. Thank you.
So I hope this has given everyone a better idea of what this might look like doing a virtual oral in the practical space. So we have had some questions come in, and thank you for those. So we're going to address the questions. I have Caleb here with me. So the first question was, is there any concern about the collections or the devices being out in extreme temperatures, specifically below freezing 32 degrees? And probably we could even say extreme heat as well.
Yeah, no, great question. So what we always do when we're doing our transporting everything, we go off the advice of the specific device, and in this instance, it was the Intercept. So we follow all the shipping protocol that is used by them, no different than how they ship things to us or get shipped all over the country outside of Tomo. So we follow all of that. To get into the very specifics, if we need to, we can get more information for you from the lab, just more intricate details on that as well. So, but no, currently that's how we've always been shipping those. So,
okay.
No.
And along the lines of shipping, any restrictions for airplane travel or any concerns with these being transported via air?
No, in fact, a lot of what they do when they have to ship these across the country, again, not even utilizing Tomo, and when we're shipping back to the lab, a lot of that is already done through airplane. And so, yeah, no restrictions there. Even if someone was carrying it with them, it would be significantly less than the normal amount of fluid that's allowed on an airplane.
Yeah, and probably something important to note, these are the same oral fluid devices that we utilize if we were to come on site and do the collection live in your facility. We do not utilize a special oral fluid device, correct?
Correct. And we do collections like this all over the country, and then they go back all to the lab. So we're sending them back essentially the exact same way someone that would be collecting it in their home would be sending it back as well.
Okay, so what are the expiration dates on these collection kits?
Typically, when we get them in, they're anywhere from 18 months to 2 years, typically for their lifespan on that. So, and to give you a specific date, it does vary. So, just to give you guys a little bit more information on that, but typically anywhere from 18 months to 2 years.
Okay. So talking about the kits and what they test for, I know we talked high level about it. So do these come in 5-panel kits, 10-panel kits, and then does oral fluid test for alcohol?
Yeah, so on the oral fluid on our lab-based, yes, we can test different types and panels of drugs from 5. I believe it is all the way up to a 10, I believe. And so we are able to do that. As it relates to alcohol, it will not test for ETG. So I believe it's the ETH, I think that it does test for, but not the ETG.
Right. So some limitations with oral fluid and alcohol testing.
Yep.
Correct. Okay.
Yep.
So in the collection, we saw that you told the donor that she can't get up. She couldn't get up. So what, first, why can she not get up? And then tell us what would happen if you were to encounter a donor that needed to get up for any reason or was being uncooperative with the collection procedure.
Yeah, no, great question. I think what we base this on is also when we're doing in-person testing. If I was going to be doing a test for someone like yourself, and you're not going to be able to get up and leave in the middle of a collection. And I think also as we do this virtually, it's going to be the same concept. So that's why we do prep them. It is in their instruction notes, and we make the comment at the very beginning, please don't get up. Eliminate any distractions, whether that's letting a dog in or outside, TV on, radio on, those sorts of things. So it's just really to help keep focus and make sure that there's no ways that the test is adulterated with in any manner. How we handle this is no different than what we would do on site if someone becomes uncooperative. They're not listening to any type of the rules or regulations that we have. What we might do is get with their employer to find out how they want to proceed. We would end the test at that point until we've learned from the employer the direction they want to go. We know different company policies vary, so we just want to get with the employer if we ran into that situation while testing.
Correct. Okay. And you mentioned policy there, so I would be remiss if I didn't say, as you think about adding even oral fluid, if you're not using oral fluid and you want to add it, and then you also want to add maybe virtual oral, definitely something you should look at your policy. Make sure your policy says that your employees are all aware that it is a testing method that you all utilize, and Tomo can help you with that. So happy to help on that end as well. So let's talk about, we just got a question, how will the instant results work? And this is probably, if I was guessing, what happens if it's a non-negative test?
Yeah. So how this works is we would provide an instant device, no different than we would a lab-based device. And so with that being said, when they perform the test, it would be done all the same protocols, being in front of the camera, all of that. On the device itself, it does give a reading of what we would call a negative or a non-negative test. And so once that collection is complete, it would be placed in front of the camera for visibility for that collector. If something were to be non-negative, depending on the employer's policy at that point and the type of test and everything, whatever their company has in line, we would then move forward with doing a confirmation and utilizing the intercept device at this time with what the video just showed. So that's how we would follow up with that and also notify the employer. On an instant test, whether it's negative or non-negative, excuse me, we would then request a signature from that donor. That would be done digitally, is the plan.
Okay. So what happens if the bag is damaged in transit, but you saw the donor seal it?
Yeah, so this is a great question because this happens to our collectors sometimes where you do everything right, and for whatever reason it gets shipped and it gets damaged or whatever. Usually what the lab will call that time is a canceled test. And so then it would just be someone connecting with the employer to find out, doing a retest, setting all of that up, and then just kind of going that direction, whatever the employer decides to do. But unfortunately, it is something that can happen. It happens to us where you did everything perfect, the donor, the collector, everyone saw it. But unfortunately, when it gets to the lab, they're only going to go with what's in front of them. And if that's damaged, then they're going to cancel the test. And we'd have to probably just get with the employer about recollecting and moving forward a different direction.
Okay. And something else on the demonstration, you had asked her, Joanne, before you got started, if she had anything to eat or drink. I know we are putting that on the instructions, but what if she had said yes, or she had some gum in her mouth at the time? What's the next step there?
Yeah, in order to do a proper test, we have to make sure that nothing has been in their mouth for the previous 10 minutes, whether that is gum, anything to drink, any type of food. And we just want to make sure there's not a chance that the test was being adulterated with, basically. So what we do at that point is we wait 10 minutes. So we could work on filling out the form and all of that. It would just drag out the collection process just a little bit, but it is on their notes whenever they get their instructions to not have anything in their mouth prior. And that's why we will always ask as well.
Okay. So we've been asked, are we going to be doing these for all different testing types? And right now, we're going to be offering these for pre-employment testing and for random testing. Just due to rolling this out and wanting this to be successful, we hope one day this could work for a post-accident, reasonable suspicion, more of that non-DOT, need it right now type testing. But at this time, it will just be offered for pre-employments and random screens. And then our last question we'll get to is, can you send these to client locations? Or is it just to donor homes? Yes, we absolutely can do this. So if you have locations, whether that be all across one of the states that we provide on-site services for, or anywhere in the country, we can absolutely facilitate this within your location. If you wanted to provide the computer as in a pre-employment setting, this is a great option for if someone comes in for their final interview, you make the offer. We can, if we have an appointment time set up already, we can go ahead and get that pre-employment test done right there, and you don't risk them leaving and potentially having to go to a clinic, and we all know how that goes. As you can shorten that time from your offer to checking all the pre-employment boxes, the better off and the likelihood that they will in fact start on that first day. So we absolutely can. Okay, one more question, and then we will be true to our time here. When reviewing a non-negative, will you send that to the MRO?
Yes, the answer would be yes. Yeah. And depending on the policy of that client and how they want those results reported. But yes, we absolutely could do that.
Yes, once these collections hit the lab, it is the exact same process as it would be if someone came on site or you went to a clinic. You sent that individual to a clinic and a clinic collected it, or they came into a Tomo office. Everything from the moment it gets picked up to arriving at the lab, screening, confirmation, going through the MRO if you have, if you utilize the MRO, all of that is the exact same in this process. Okay. All right. Well, thank you guys so much. We really appreciate your participation today. We will be sending out a post webinar recording of everything that you saw today, so you can rewatch, share with colleagues. And then if you are interested in taking the next step or want more information, here's a whole ways you can do that. You can reach out to your account manager, you can visit our webpage, or you can email virtualtesting@yourdrugtesting.com. But thanks again and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.